Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 6:30 PM and a quorum of members is present, so the meeting of the Board of Education of the School District of New Berlin is called to order. Please call the roll.
Ms. Crosby?
Here.
Mr. Helmer?
Here.
Ms. Konick?
Here.
Mr. Kurth? Ms. Schultz?
Here.
Mr. Seidel?
Here.
Ms. Spindler?
Here.
Mr. Kurth let me know he's unable to be here this evening. I would then entertain a motion to recess to closed session.
Madam President, I move to adjourn to closed session pursuant to Section 19.85, 1C and E and F of the Wisconsin statutes to consider A, the approval of closed session minutes of August 14th, B, the superintendent's 2023-24 goals, and C, employment, performance, and compensation matters pertaining to staff.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Crosby and a second by Mr. Seidel. Please call the roll.
Ms. Crosby?
Yes.
Mr. Seidel?
Yes.
Mr. Helmer?
Yes.
Ms. Konick?
Yes.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Ms. Spindler?
Yes.
We're moving to closed session and we'll return to open session around 7 o'clock. It is now 7:04 PM, and we are returning from closed session into open session. In recognition of the serious and important nature of our efforts here, we will join in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. For all those who are able, please rise.
Public for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now for those who wish to prepare for the meeting, we will have a moment of silence. This is a public meeting of the Board of Education. Prior to this meeting, notice was given to the public last Friday by providing the agenda to the city library. The agenda was also posted on the district website. A copy of the agenda was forwarded to the Journal Sentinel, the Waukesha Freeman, and the Waukesha Now, all of which have filed requests for all public notices. Do we have any privilege of the floor this evening? And I do not have any announcements, so we can move on to the superintendent's update.
Yeah, we are back. We actually had new staff report last week. I was able to meet with all of our new staff members last week to discuss our expectations, to welcome them on your behalf and our behalf, and certainly looking forward to the new crop of staff. All of our teachers came back today. So this was the first official day with all of our staff, and we will have a welcome back celebration, district kickoff on Wednesday morning. So that's the good news. Let's talk about construction in the city of New Berlin. We were very well aware of the construction that was going to be happening on Moreland, and it's going to be continued for quite some time. I fortunately have the opportunity to live right along that line, so it's always a good time to try and figure out which exit I can get out of my subdivision from one morning or evening to the next. But then the county contacted us just last week about the National Avenue construction. For those of you that know, we have a 3-tier busing system. And within our busing system, we not only have all of our schools, which includes our 4 elementary schools as well as our 2 middle and high schools, but we also need to provide transportation to Holy Apostles and Star of Bethlehem. Well, there are 3 schools of those total that are along that National Avenue closed section. And so Patrick, who works closely with the bus company, Mike Bennett from the bus company, and our administrators, we're certainly, the bus company is trying to do their part to readjust from not only the Moreland construction, but then that of now the National Avenue construction. And we are going to try and do our best to make sure that we minimize delays, but we are unfortunately going to be expecting delays, which are beyond our control. And so, I ask you for your support, knowing that some of these things are, like I said, are literally beyond our control. Buses have already started because I believe like Holy Apostles and Star of Bethlehem have already started school with students. And I saw a bus have to take out one of those orange barrels because of the way that I can barely get my car onto some of these, getting on Moreland or getting on National, where it's sometimes one lane going one way, and then, and I just can't imagine trying to that big yellow limousine trying to take those turns. So, but again, it's unfortunate. It's just part of what we have to live with, I guess, and we're going to certainly make the best of it, monitor it, and we'll go from there.
Moreland's the county road. Is ES actually state?
I'm not sure. I believe that's the county. We were informed by the county.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure who exactly.
Yeah.
I think National's county, because they had to redo, when they were redoing it for that whole water thing.
Well, that,
I think that's county.
I'm not
It is
positive.
county because
I'd have to look into it.
We
Yeah.
had issues with the 4th of July, they always had to contact the county for picking up all the garbage and stuff.
Oh,
for the
gotcha.
charity.
We were a little surprised that the county informed us this so late. And
kind of the way it works, sorry.
Did
I
they
mean,
give
it's
any
great to
kind-
have a new road eventually, but I really was hoping not to have to start that a couple weeks before the start of school. That's all I have. Thank you.
It would be my pleasure. So we have one donation from 829 New Berlin West, Herb Cole Educational Foundation, to support the Houston Coal Grant in the amount of $6,000. The approval date is 8/21, and that's our only donation, and the total donations is $6,000. And thank you to our generous donor, and that ends my report.
Thank you. And then the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, which includes the notice of the approval of minutes of the board meeting on August 14th and financial reports. Are there any items that should be pulled out for separate consideration? Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Motion to approve?
I have a motion by Mr. Seidel and a second by Mr. Helmer to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. On to the regular agenda. First up is update on an update related to the standard response protocol.
So as you may or may not be aware, we have a safety committee that includes members of the city, specifically the New Berlin Fire Department, the New Berlin Police Department, and the New Berlin Emergency Services, Emergency Management, and then members of our team. Patrick is the chair of our side of that committee. And in their conversations, you know, we continuously strive as we learn from incidents that occur, you know, whether it's updated protocols related to fire safety, tornado, and so on. Most recently, the police department recommended an adjustment to our standard response protocol. And we are moving forward with that. I did provide some of those details to you in my written update last week, I believe. And we just wanted Patrick to share generally to the public in this meeting today about the changes. And then note that we will also plan on sharing the changes with our staff and families in the coming weeks. Patrick.
Thanks, Joe. For many years, the school district has been using the ALICE protocol for addressing issues with school violence. And what the standard response protocol is, it does not replace ALICE, but it surrounds ALICE on the front end and the back end. Our response protocols right now are more than just the ALICE protocol. We also have an evacuation protocol. When we were kids, they called them fire drills. We also have shelter protocols, which we call tornado drills. Those are still going to be in this response protocol. There's also on the front end going to be a hold protocol, which is when there's something happening, like in a hallway, where we just want kids to stay where they're at and not, you know, if, like, say, there's a medical emergency and we just don't want kids going up and down hallways. There's a secure protocol where, let's say, for example, we have students outside at Phi Ed, but there's a situation brewing in the community that we want to be ready for. We don't want kids spread out, you know, outside. We want to bring them in the building so that we can kind of wrap our arms around them should we need to advance in the protocols. And then the lockdown protocol, which is right in the middle of this, is essentially the same. We're following the same steps as we did with ALICE. So we are just adding steps to it to bring our arms around all of our safety protocols. And what we're doing is, and this is a key, we're developing a system of standard language that's not only going to be used within the district, within all the schools, but it's a standard language that's used with all of the emergency response groups, the police, fire, EMS, both city and county. So we're taking what we have and we're just making it a little bit more robust and standardizing it.
Any questions? Again, this came at the recommendation of the New Berlin Police Department. They are our local experts when it comes to these protocols. And so we are moving forward with that recommendation. And like I said, we are going to be informing our staff. Obviously, they just came back today, and then learning kind of how we're going to move forward. And then we will be sharing this information too with our families and parents. Go ahead, Ron.
Do they come through and kind of do, during a drill, do they come through and check all doors in the building? In all or whatever building they're inspecting?
Right. When we schedule a lockdown drill with, and actually have the police involved with that, they will go through and check the doors to make sure that they are locked. Sometimes when we do lockdown drills, it's more practice for the students and the teachers as far as what to do in the classroom. But, again, when we involve the police, then they will go through and do the unlocking.
Without getting into too much detail, they also do unannounced audits on an ongoing basis. Yep. All right, thank you very much.
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Seidel, a second by Mr. Helmer. Discussion?
Our recommendation to approve as presented. We've had a United Volleyball program for years, and this solidifies that moving forward.
Those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. And then we have the same for the girls volleyball, approval of the
Girls golf.
Oh, I wrote the wrong one. Golf, that's right, because those are different seasons. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Seidel and a second by Mr. Helmer.
Same thing, that's in the same format that it's in today.
Correct.
Any other discussion? Then all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. And then we have our discussion and possible action of 2023-24 board goals. So we have our presentation up. So we had a work session at the last board meeting and sort of like brainstormed some what we wanted to do. When it came down to it, we were going to keep the main goals the same as we've done in prior years, but we basically changed our action items. And after listening to everybody and going through my notes, this is what I put down. So please let me know if this is captured what it was you were all really going for. So under student achievement, we are having some action items here of supporting the superintendent in achieving his academic goals. And also, we are requesting of the administration to create a dashboard on the district website to track student performance on a rolling 3-year basis. I'll go through them all quick, and then we can go back, and then if there's any discussion. Then for the staff objective, obtain a comprehensive staff wage assessment to ensure compensation is comparable, competitive to other high-performing districts, and assess turnover data to ensure continued low attrition rates, in particular staff voluntarily leaving to go to other districts. And then for the third one, under fiscal, obtain from the administration a report on how much money has been received in sponsorships, where money is now, or how it has been used, and what are the plans to use it in the future. And then also to increase Fund 41 annual funding from $1 million to $1.2 million for the next preliminary budget. And the final one, under the Engage Community More, is determine what opportunities are remaining for sponsorship and promote the dashboard that was created under goal number 1. So do I have a motion to approve the goals as presented?
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Seidel and a second by Mr. Helmer to approve. Is there any discussion? Any revisions, any clarifications?
The only, in talking to our team, thank you for allowing us the opportunity to provide feedback. We think these goals are great. They're certainly much different than the ones that the board had focused on previously. The one thing that we wanted to share with you is that our goal has been ongoing is to provide $1 million in Fund 41 on average. We now know that the board wants us to increase that to an average of 1.2 moving forward. I would like to clarify that once the board determined the Fund 41 approach at 1 million, which was one of my goals 3 or 4 years ago, we're now making that. But I also want to clarify that some years we may have more in Fund 41 than other years, and that's why we would recommend including an average of $1.2 million over the, moving forward. We think we can attain it most years, but some years, I don't want us to be locked into that. Depending on what, what the scenarios are budgetarily. Patrick, can you just talk about how we've been able to do this, say at least the last few years related to Fund 41, once we were tasked to do this?
Sure, thanks, Joel. And Joe talked to me about this, whether we should, recommend that we do this on an average. And I think it's important to understand that when we were tasked with $1 million, we started by putting $1 million in, but we have been able to far exceed that $1 million in the last couple of years, mainly because we used some fund balance to pay off debt, and then we're putting that savings from the debt into Fund 41. So we're doubling what was requested for Fund 41, and what I would propose is that we are allowed to continue or to look at that as an average. So when we have the opportunity to put more away, we can, knowing that the unknown state budgets in the future and what we're going to need or what needs we have in the future, we can, if we need to adjust that down for a year or for a biennium, that we have the ability to do that and still continue as long as we're continuing with the average.
This is just our 1-year goal, though.
Yeah.
We're not looking at making this a 5-year goal. So if we put average, if it's just 1 year,
Okay, that clarifies it. Patrick, what are we proposing to put in Fund 41?
This next year, I believe it's 2.4
Okay.
million.
Okay,
hey, goal achieved.
all right.
Good job, board.
I'm helping you meet your goal.
Okay. Yeah, and it's not like we're going to ding anybody for not reaching the goal, which we obviously are. Yeah, these are our goals. And being that we're really in charge of the budget is really our responsibility. So I don't think we need to revise our goals. I think we can.
Fair enough.
Yeah, okay.
Fair enough.
All right. Any other discussion? Are we good? Okay, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. Ooh, I'm sorry. So then we have a motion on an action item from closed session. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to approve the employment and compensation matters pertaining to staff, but I would like to defer to Superintendent Garza for further clarification.
Yeah, we would not only seek approval of the employment services report, but we would also seek approval of a one-time loyalty stipend for staff that have returned from last year and are back this current year.
Okay, we need a second.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Mr. Seidel and a second by Mr. Helmer to approve. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. And we have our future meetings and dates. Board meetings are generally held the second and fourth Mondays beginning at 7:00 p.m. in Conference Room E at district offices unless noted otherwise. Our next meeting is September 11th, and then we have one on September 25th. That one is going to be in the Eisenhower Commons, and then October 11th. It's a Wednesday due to no school being on Monday. Other important dates to remember: first day of school, September 5th. Also, on September 25th, there is, in addition to the regular meeting, is an annual meeting and budget hearing. And that's one of the reasons why we're in Eisenhower Commons that evening. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Helmer, a second by Mr. Seidel to adjourn. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. This meeting is adjourned.